G'day guys, I am Sean Keenan, your host of Comics to Movies and More. As always, I have my co-host Stephen. How are you going tonight? It has been a while since we've done a show, so I'm super excited to let everyone know what's been going on and give a little bit of a tease of what's to come as well. But first off, how have you been, mate?
No, I've been really good. Look, to be real, I'm counting down to Christmas. That's what I'm doing. Um, everything. If you ask everything, when do you want it done by? Oh, how was last week? And it's like, oh, no. It's besides that. Look, I'm just counting down. It's the best time of the year. It'll be awesome. I'm really looking. What we sell? Do you have any plans over the break?
Well, I'm super excited because we shut down over Christmas, so I've got about 11 days over Christmas off, which I'm super excited about. And I tell you what, kids make Christmas, and you will know this with your own daughter. Having Daisy, she'll be a little bit too young to kind of get into it, but it's about seeing Peach's excitement at the moment. She's waiting for Elf on the shelf to come on the 1st of December. So I always enjoy that, and I really kind of feed off her energy. And I tell you what, my wife absolutely loves Christmas. So Christmas in our household is pretty big, which is fantastic. Now we usually get a real Christmas tree, but my hay fever has been absolutely woeful this year, and poor Peaches has kind of got my genes in regards to hay fever. So Lizzie has begrudgingly bought a fake Christmas tree this year. So
it's not too bad. Look, half the fun is decorating it, the ornaments and stuff like that. It's not whether it's real or not real. The kids, it is real.
Yeah, that's it. Now, let's quickly say hi to the chat because, as I said, we haven't been on live for a while. So that's mostly my fault. I've been doing a couple of conventions as a guest with Supanova. On top of that, I've gotten sick in between that, and then on top of that, Peaches or Daisy's been sick each night, and I'm trying to be a little bit quieter tonight and not get too excited because now poor Lizzie is unfortunately sick and resting up. So our household is like a cesspool of germs at the moment. And I think you kind of get that with
look, with kids
going to and from school. Yeah. So.
Look, the good thing is at least they have it now, and then it gets, you know what I mean.
We've got Sassy Gal. How are we going? Mandeep, hello, mate. Thanks for tuning in. And Jackie, welcome back. Thank you very much, Jackie. We are super excited to be back. So, it's kind of been a bit crazy. It's like every time I've gone to either schedule something's fallen through, or I've been sick, or it's just like when everything kind of doesn't go to plan. That's how the last month kind of has been with me, and that is kind of what I want to talk a little bit about tonight, because I had a really funny experience at Supanova, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And tonight, I want to talk about one of my favorite kid movies growing up, which is The Last Starfighter. So I was going to pull this out on DVD and rewatch, but I actually found it, you wouldn't believe, on YouTube.
The whole movie?
High definition whole movie. So I watched it actually via YouTube on my projector, which is right there. And I gotta say, I've got a 3.3 meter screen. It came up pretty good, but I'm going to actually post the link in the chat. So if anyone has never seen The Last Starfighter, here's a link. You can actually go to YouTube and watch it at your leisure. But seriously, The Last Starfighter is, as I said, one of my favorite movies growing up. It came out in 1984, so I was only 3 when it came out, so I can't really remember the very first time that I watched it, but it definitely was definitely a film that I watched over and over and over and over again. So I reckon it was probably maybe 6 or 7 when I first watched it. It's kind of a little bit funny because I rewatched Willow not that long ago, because that's a series is about to come out on Disney Plus again. And it's funny because I probably wouldn't, or I didn't let Peaches watch it. I didn't probably think it was appropriate, but that's only rated PG type of thing. It's the 80s were very different to what we are now. But other than the graphics on this, the actual film still holds up. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the graphics are very, I feel like they're very 70s, not even 80s.
I would actually give you some bit of trivia on that one. So in
go ahead, smack me with the trivia.
1982, Tron came out.
Yes.
So Tron was probably the most recognized film before this one on computer graphics. So Tron actually won 2 Academy Awards. I don't know if you know. Best mixing and 2 technical Academy Awards. It was actually nominated for Best Special Effects. It was disqualified. It's one of the few movies that was actually disqualified for Best Special Effects because they deemed using computer graphics was cheating.
Really?
There you go. So again, I watched this when I was a kid, and I actually watched bits. I didn't see the whole movie, but I watched bits and pieces back, some shorts back on YouTube before tonight. And look, I'll be honest with you, the graphics part didn't hold up, but I didn't remember it that way. I'll be really honest, you didn't remember it that way. If you remember, even back to, and we always bring it back to Star Wars. Remember back to Star Wars when they looked at a lot of the displays, or back to Terminator when Arnie was, the old CGI graphics.
Yeah.
At the time, that was all cutting edge stuff, and to even see a blob move, around the screen, that was amazing. So I didn't actually want to watch it again, to be really fair, because I had a memory of it, and I really knew if I watched it again, I would destroy that memory. And I did. It did a little bit, to be fair, because
I was a little bit worried about that myself, to be honest, because I have such fond memories of this film. I was worried that I was going to have my Princess Bride moment again, where I watched it and went, "Oh my god, this is like, what is everyone ranting and raving about? This film is horrible." But no, and I think going back on the Princess Bride, I feel like it's because I never had that nostalgic feeling for it, because I'd never seen it before, where this one I did get all of that nostalgic feel and all that type of stuff when I was watching it again. So I really do feel like there's a big difference when you can either relate childhood emotions, or when you first saw something, or who you saw it with, or any of those type of things to this movie. So I was lucky enough to actually meet Lance Guest, and
that's Alex, isn't it? He's the actor who played
yeah.
Alex. Yep.
Yeah, and I got to meet Catherine Mary Stewart as well, who's Maggie. So I've actually got an old school original debut poster signed by both of them. So I've got a little bit of room in the office, and I think that's gonna make the cut along with my Walking Dead poster. So
the only one thing that I think that could have made it a longer film, because you remember Star Wars, and I'm giving all the dates around the same time. Star Wars came out in 1977. And one of the reasons why a lot of the Star Wars effects have not aged as badly is because they use a lot of practical effects, like the trench runs and stuff like that. They were very much practically made. They actually built the entire trench run.
Models and
All really, and like there's when they pan across, how do you say, where all the stormtroopers were, those were paintings. Yeah, just really, really high quality paintings that the camera panned across. They did a lot of really good practical effects. Like again, for its time, you can remember, this did a better job than Star Trek did in terms of the facial prosthetics. The original Star Trek was, again, ruined my childhood to watch some of the stuff again, but the facial prosthetics were, in this one, pretty top notch compared to the Star Trek for time, which if you look back now, it's horrible, but at the time it was like, oh my God, that looks so good. They could have kept a lot more of the practical effects. Like, this one part where the ship comes in and he spins around and shoots everything, and they could have done a lot of these things practically, and I think that would have aged it a lot better. Like the car scene, where they're driving and stuff like that. They use practical effects for that, and those ones didn't age as badly as the
100%. 100% agree. As soon as it went to that digital kind of graphics that they were using, you could definitely, as I said, it reminded me of that old school, Pac-Man / Galaxy, video game type of thing. It didn't kind of age, as you said, if it had those practical effects type of thing. But at the same time, I'm surprised no one's gone back, because all those scenes are purely, digital computer graphics. I'm surprised no one's gone back and redone those parts of the film, because
please don't tempt Hollywood that way. Look, one of the biggest things I'm going to go. I really need to have that rant section. I was going to make it. I will make it. A 10-second clip just before I rant. You can play it. But the one thing which I find, especially in say the last 10, 15 years, give or take, and this is something the 70s, 80s, and 90s did really, really well. There wasn't many sequels in that era. Again, that I'm talking about a good 20 years ago. I mean, you got exceptions: Godfather, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. There were a couple of exceptions, but on the whole, like Starfighter, Princess Bride, and stuff like that, it was a once-off movie. Inner Space, for example, I know you remember that, the Dennis Quaid movie. There were a lot of good once-off movies which weren't tied into, or a sequel that's only come out pretty recently. But I find that Hollywood right now is going back and recreating all these old movies, and sometimes when you, I'll give you one which they really butchered: RoboCop.
Oh yeah,
and it just breaks your heart a little bit to say, you know what? Sometimes, and that's what I'm saying. I still have very fond memories of Last Starfighter. The last thing I want him to do is remake it. Like, I don't mind. There was another film. Maybe the chat can help me out with this. It was a really recent film that I believe Harrison Ford was in it, but it's a very similar premise. Like a kid basically learns, goes through simulations. He learns thing, and then he finally realized, oh my God, this is a simulation. They're actually sending us to war.
Ender's Game.
Ender's Game, that's it. Ender's Game.
Yes, that's based on
Harrison
a novel
Ford?
series.
Was that Harrison Ford, or am I thinking it's totally different?
Yes, so I'm pretty sure it was Harrison Ford and the guy out of Marvel who plays the fake Mandarin. Can't think of his name. Very famous actor.
I'll wiki it soon. But the whole point is, I don't mind them taking a concept. Like, I mean, they're very, very vastly different movies. I don't mind them taking a concept about you're training on a simulation, a game, and it turns out to be real. I don't mind them taking a premise and running with it to tell your own story. I really like. I'm getting a big distaste for remakes, to be really fair. I'm getting remake ideas. Yep.
So since 2005, there's been like a sequel in the works. So the guy that actually wrote Rogue One, actually has penned the script for the sequel to the last Starfighter, but it doesn't seem to kind of get any traction type of thing. So I'm not sure what it was about or anything like that, but it definitely set itself up for a sequel or more movies, but just they never got made. So I don't know how it did at the box office or anything like that. So but it was there's an article I've just found online here, which actually they go and say that only 2 months ago the actual writer had said that he's tried to get it off the ground. So Gary Witter, the Rogue One writer, who was supposedly developing it since 2005, as I said, but he unfortunately says that we're very, very close. We're basically on the 1 yard line, and I believe it will happen. So, but that was a few years ago, and 2 months ago, he's just come out and said that, to be honest, there's a decent chance it never happens. But if it doesn't, it won't be for a lack of effort on mine or John's part. So, which is a little bit disappointing. I was like, I could go a sequel rather than a reboot. And when I saw who was actually writing it, I was like, okay, I can kind of see that he might be a good writer for that, especially because I enjoyed Rogue One so much. So,
it's Ben Kingsley, by the way.
Ben Kingsley, of course. I can't believe I didn't know that. See, I'm out of sorts here. I'm surprised Jackie or someone didn't jump in straight away and correct us. So.
You could end this game just from my horrible description as a kid, and Harrison Ford was in it.
I really liked that film. Again, that ended on a kind of a cliffhanger, ready for a second film. I believe it was done by Disney. Not sure if it was done by Disney, but you can watch it if you're in Australia on Stan. It's on Stan, Ender's Game. But it's based on a series of books.
Book series.
Yeah, from 1985. But
Lionsgate. It wasn't a Disney one.
It was a Lionsgate. Wow. That's interesting. Your Lionsgate doesn't really do that sci-fi that much. They're more of your horror and everything, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, talking about remakes and stuff like that, I heard a really good line, and I loved it. To get a franchise, Terminator, Aliens, or whatever, to get a Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever, all you need is 2 good movies, and you've got a franchise. If you think about it, and I was trying to think about one case where that wasn't true, and I couldn't think of one. It makes sense. All you need is 2 good movies. That's it. If you have 1 good, 1 bad, that's not a franchise. 2 good movies in a row.
2 good movies that have never had another film.
No. If you have 2 good movies, you've created a franchise. The examples they gave was, talking about movie franchises, so not books. X-Men 1 and 2. So X-Men 1 was a good film. X-Men 2 was brilliant. You've got 2 good films. It doesn't matter the third one is terrible. It will still franchise out. You'll still get more franchise. Aliens, 2 good ones. And the rest I'd rather not talk about.
Predator?
Predator 1 and 2. But Predator never had 2 wasn't bad, but it still was good enough to build a franchise up. Like 2 didn't get as much the drumming as the next other Predator movies. Star Wars, of course, Star Trek, but even Godfather fit them all. Godfather 3 and 4 were meant to be. Look, I only saw the first 2, but it was enough to build a franchise up for it. So I don't know. I thought it was a really interesting. Look, it may not be true, and if I'm wrong, please comment. It is a movie series that had the first two movies really good that did not become a franchise. I'll be interested to know because I couldn't think
Yeah,
of one when the guy brought it up.
you're right straight away because everything seems to have three or more. You're right. If there's two good films, so you've got the Mummy. So
The first two were pretty
no,
good, yeah,
the
and then
first two were pretty good. Third one wasn't great, but then they had the spin off Scorpion King, so on and so forth.
Home Alone even 1 and 2
Fast and
were.
Furious.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm really trying to think of anything that's had a second movie that didn't make a third. Can I say Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
No,
Did they have three?
that more than one. Let me just check. Actually, there was multiple
So
ones.
there was Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Dawn of the. I'm trying to work out whether they had two or three films.
I think that Narnia. Let me just check. Interesting. Anyway, look, but it's an interesting concept, and so
Yeah.
I would say, if you were a movie maker, Saw, for example, and stuff like that, all you need is like. But if you have a good first one or a viral first one and a really bad second one, you won't get a third, fourth, fifth. You need to have two good ones in a row for it to franchise out.
Well, there is a really good Australian franchise that's got two films that is going to get a three and fourth film at least. And it's funny that oh, look at that, we're doing the tie-in graphic novel for it as well. That's
There
a
you
that's a,
go.
that's a great segue, Stephen. There, so. Now, I have been talking about this one for a little bit, and I did want to touch base on where the project is at and how we're going. So, I had it scheduled to release sometime this year, but with the 13th Labor kind of hitting right in between when my little girl was born. My little girl was supposed to be born after that campaign was finished. Allow me enough time to set this campaign up and launch it. And as life does, it throws you a couple of curveballs. But we're now looking to launch this in the end of January, maybe start of February. I've spoken at a little bit to Luke Spark, who's the director of the series, and we have some awesome rewards for people around this project. There are going to be on-set visits. There's going to be credits, your name up in the credits of the film. There is going to be a chance to get drawn into the graphic novel. There's going to be
What
a
about the movie
chance to.
cameos in the movie?
Well, nothing is off limits, which is super exciting to kind of hear from Luke, in regards to, he's pretty much keen to try anything. So I'm super excited about this project. I'm going to chuck the link up in the comments. If you haven't already, I know probably everyone that follows us is probably already signed up to this campaign, but whoever's watching it back later, if you haven't, please click on the link, hit that notify button, and it'll tell you when we go live. But I'm super excited about that project. Mark Lortia, a good friend from Perth, is doing all the artwork for that series. He's done an amazing job, and we look forward to cracking on with that, and then being a part of the shooting. There looks like they're shooting in June, July, August of next year. Supposedly it's a very quick shoot, so we want to make sure that we get this graphic novel out, and then some of those amazing rewards fulfilled in the middle of next year.
Are they filming in Australia? Are they filming in Australia or?
Yeah, so filming in Queensland. So yeah, so the on-set stuff will most likely be, unfortunately, just for Australia residents only. But we may offer it to people international if they are able to get themselves to Brisbane type of thing. So
I think I don't know the campaign, so I'll make a guesstimate from you guys that the on-set stuff is travel at your own cost. I'll presume that. And again, it's no big thing, but say people from that's why I'm going to say that, because people from New Zealand, maybe, you know what, the flight's not that far to make it to Brisbane, or I know Grace is
cheaper than from Melbourne.
Yeah, somebody from Singapore could fly down without too much trouble. Hi, Grace, in the chat. If you want to come to Queensland, you're more than welcome to. But if you put I would imagine if you put something along the lines, travel accommodation is not covered. However, on-set day visits will be fully, will occupy you for the whole day for all on-set visits and stuff like that. If Luke can offer something like that, it then goes, you know what? Come from anywhere in the world. As long as you make it on these dates, it's sweet. And we'll tell you the dates beforehand and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it gives me a good excuse to get myself on set as well. That's what that's the real reason I'm offering the reward. So yeah. Oh, Grace has commented. She has said plane tickets are so expensive. It's a film, Grace. You could be in a film.
But
is it really that expensive? Nah.
And once you're in Brisbane, Sydney's not that far away. You can come visit me. And Melbourne, that way, it's not, what's 1,000 Ks, right?
I've got a spare room here. I've told Moira, I've told Mandeep if they want to come over, there's a spare room always here. They will have to unfortunately put up with a little baby crying at the actually I gotta say she's a pretty good sleeper at the moment, so I shouldn't say that, but my door is always open to people.
Said he's gonna come. Mandeep said he's coming.
Oh, Mandeep, yes, mate. Yes, yeah, you have to come. You have to come. It's been so long I haven't seen you, mate. I'm getting Mandeep withdrawals, so yeah. We've got Sydney is almost like Singapore. Too much hustle and bustle.
No,
no way.
I've lived in Singapore for a little bit. Sydney goes to sleep. Singapore really doesn't. You can go out at 10 o'clock at night. Everything is still open. All the hawker centers are still there. Nothing closes. Sydney by 10 o'clock is pubs, clubs, or like, it's not as fun.
No, not at all. But in talking about traveling interstate, I did want to have a quick chat about, as I said, what I've been doing over the last few weeks, and that is I have been a comic book guest at Supanova Pop Culture and Gaming, which is probably one of the biggest conventions here in Australia. It is been running for about 20-25 years, depending on what state you're in. I think the first one in Sydney was in the late 1990s, which is pretty amazing for a convention to be around that long. So these are really some really cool photos from up in Brisbane, where I was had Jeff Loeb there, Mark Ratz, George Perez there as well, which is Arthur Adams, I mean, so which is very cool. I got to meet Shane in person from COMICS, so shout out to Shane. It's the first time I've met him in person, and we've had him on the show We've been on his show, but it's actually the first time I ever got to meet him in person. So that was kind of cool. And then I got surprised by a lovely family. This is Dan Furigal's family. How cool is this? They actually popped in to say hello just to see me. I'm like, how cool is that? I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm that short. I'm about 5'10", almost 5'11". Dan's mum is taller than me. Dan's dad would be maybe 6 foot, 6'1". But then Nathan is like 6'4", 6'5". Like, he is so tall. I can't repeat what I actually said to him on the show here, but it was so nice to actually have them come along. It was absolutely fantastic. You know, the shows have been very sporadic here in Australia over the last few years, so it was really cool to kind of be back at live events. At these events, no one was actually wearing masks. So, I had that really good vibe again of people just enjoying the event and all that type of stuff. And I tell you what, I was super happy to kind of meet Dan's family in person as well, which was great. So I got
to meet all these really great videos for you as well. So
yeah, I got to meet Morgan Quaid, and I'm not going to announce anything yet, but I have to say that you're going to see more of Morgan and myself together in 2023. So, and then here's a couple of shots of. I don't look too happy there. I don't know what I was thinking, but there's just a couple of really cool shots on a panel that I was doing around crowdfunding, talking about comics. I really enjoy this show. I really enjoy giving back and doing that at the conventions in front of, a couple of hundred people at a panel. It's really kind of exciting to see other people kind of look at you and ask questions and kind of, I feel like I've turned into more of that mentor than the person asking the question. So it was kind of cool doing that. So yeah. So, and then that's just a cool little shot of me doing the thing. And this is the setup. This is the new setup that I kind of tried. We're not doing too many of the limited edition prints anymore. So I'd kind of taken our old stock, but look at all the comics and graphic novels there. It is absolutely crazy the amount of stuff we have putting out left, right, and center over the last couple of years. So, and then just another couple of shots, and then back to the start. So that was my exciting weekend up in Brisbane. So I was kind of enjoyed myself up there. Got to meet a bunch of different people and really connecting with some of the other comic creators as well.
I heard Adelaide was more eventful though. I heard I won't spoil it. I'll let you tell that story. But I heard Adelaide had a lot more fun. I'll let you tell that story. So what happened?
What do you mean? What do you mean, mate? So for people that don't follow me on Facebook, this is a photo at 3:00 in the afternoon at the convention center where Adelaide has had its worst storm in 64 years. And the whole power has gone out in the whole city. So 80,000 homes are without power. The convention center is without power. And then the backup generator goes out on top of that as well. So for the last 2.5 hours of the show, sat in the dark using our torches on our phones to try and sell and speak to people and everything like that, which was just kind of a little bit crazy. But as you can see there, here's a few shots of everyone in the dark, and that's a shot from my actual table. So that's what it looks like when I was sitting down, type of thing. So
I know it's not related, but do you realize Adelaide in terms of power generation, and I know it was a down power line, so it's different, but Adelaide in terms of all Australian cities is actually the most eco city, or South Australia is the most eco state in, again, please don't quote me, check your Google and all the rest of it, but almost all the power in Adelaide are generated by wind farms or renewable resources. Almost all the power in Adelaide are I think they were controlled by Tesla batteries. So they have huge battery banks. So it's the state which is in terms of power generation, the most advanced, the most eco, all the rest of it. And yet it's also the state, unfortunately, that it has all these storms and all the rest of it that takes its power out. So it seems really bad luck for someone who's actually doing the best for the country that they get hit all the time.
I know, and it's crazy because, so when I do these conventions, I usually take this laptop away with me, and I'll use that time to kind of catch up on emails, maybe do a little bit of writing, and definitely at this time I had the Quilla Kickstarter going, so I'm like, I got 4 days to pump out, promote everything, so. Not only did the power go out at the convention center, but I head back to my Airbnb and the power is out at the Airbnb. Now, I've used my phone all day making sales through, your app and everything like that, not thinking that I'm not going to be able to charge my phone. So I get back to the Airbnb. There's no candles. There's no lights. It's practically pitch black at 7:30 at night. I literally I'm trying to save the power on my phone, because if I need to get anywhere or anything, the only way I can do that is either by calling or using the Uber app. So I'm like, calling my wife, she can't even see me because it's that dark. You can't use the torch on your phone when you're FaceTiming and that, another thing I learnt. I didn't know that either. So it was like crazy type of thing, and it put me so far behind the 8 ball with not only catching up with stuff that I kind of have left to the side for a little bit, but just, being able to promote the campaign. But it's funny, I didn't realize how much I depend on power for like a lot of the stuff I do. And then even more so how much I depend on my phone, type of thing. So I was very lucky that someone was able to supply me their battery to kind of charge up my phone. But it was crazy. I was in bed both Saturday and Sunday night by like 8:30 because there was nothing to do. And I guess it's not the Airbnb's fault, but they got no candles, no way of no torches or anything like that. And I don't think I've ever kind of thought of looking for that type of stuff when I've stayed at an Airbnb either. So it was, to say eventful is an understatement, and I can tell you I'm happy not to be traveling for any conventions for a while. So
that's good. What about the rest of this year? I think that you mentioned you have one more Oz Comic Con coming up.
Yeah, so I unfortunately missed out on the Australia's first book fair this weekend. As I mentioned before, I've been a bit crook, and then my daughters have been sick as well. So I unfortunately had to pull the pin on that convention this weekend. But as far as I heard, that was really successful. That was at Sydney at the showgrounds. I was really surprised to hear that we've never had a book fair here before, because book fairs are massive in the US and Europe and all that type of stuff, and I just gathered that there would be heaps here in Australia. So to find out that this was the first one, I was very surprised. There's a lot of literacy fairs, so like little talks and that type of stuff, but not a real big sale book fair type of thing. So but later in the year, I've got, or in 2 weeks time, I've got the Oz Comic Con Christmas special, and we are going to do some really massive deals. So if you are in Melbourne for that weekend, 100% come along to the show. We are going to have a bunch of mystery boxes. If you haven't seen those, I might show one of those for next time on the show. But we've got a bunch of mystery boxes. We're going to have CGC comics. We're going to have movie posters. So I've going to get cull some of my own collectible collections, and it'll be a perfect time to people to get a deal for Christmas. So yeah,
Looks like Sassigo will see you there.
yes. Good. I hope to see you there. So, yes. And that does lead me into that same weekend. We are going to be doing a launch for a brand new graphic novel series called Night. That is something both Stephen and I have co-created with an actor called Martin Copping. So I'll chuck that link in the chat for, again, those that either haven't followed the campaign or are going to watch this back at a later date. But it's an awesome fantasy horror series. It's a very cool, something very different to what either Stephen and I have done. The lead character is based off the likeness of Martin as well, which is cool, and we look very excited to launch that on the 9th of December in the US, and then the 10th of December here in Australia. So, and it's really kind of cool as well. We're going to be doing a launch with the guys from Crypto Comics. If you don't know who Crypto Comics are, I've talked about them a couple of times on the show. They are an NFT comic book or blockchain comic book company where there is only a certain amount of digital comics on their platform. Then once they are all gone, the only way to get them is to actually purchase them, trade them off someone else on the platform, which kind of, I feel, is a really cool idea around that digital content, where you're trying to make it valuable for people that are getting that digital content, because now there is actually a monetary value to that type of digital content, especially when you know there's only a certain amount of those digital comics out there, type of thing. So definitely have a look at that. We'll be going live on YouTube, as well as the Night Facebook page, and then we might even be doing a cool little stream on Martin's Twitch as well. So, and again, we've got some really cool, unique rewards this time around as well, Stephen, with Martin kind of offering to play Call of Duty with someone on a one-on-one type of thing.
Yeah, look, Martin's a big Twitch streamer, and he's in a lot of video games. So it's his experience, which I think if you have a chat with him, he'll basically will tell that experience for you. For people who haven't heard the premise of Night, and I'll run it through a bit. I think it's a fantastic premise. So it's in a world. It's not Earth, but it's in a world where there is a lot more darkness than daylight. So we have about, say, 12 hours of daylight, depending where in the world. 12 hours of nighttime. In this world, it's only about 4 hours of daylight, which really what means is all the nocturnal animals have basically evolved to become the apex predators. So you're talking about a world where giant bats are more common, giant wolves, anything that's nocturnal now basically are the top of the food chain. And I think it's a really interesting storytelling thing that to tell basically how smart these things go if the environment is totally suited for them, how they evolve, how they change. So look, I love it. I'm actually really excited to for it to go live. It's I think it's a really good story, and I hope you guys come back when it goes live to check it out.
100%. I cannot wait for this one either. It's I always get excited about like launching anything, but this year it's kind of been really cool to launch some really different things. We've done the third issue of the 13th Labor, which I talked about, where I've had no creative input on that, but been able to kind of get someone else's book out there and see that be successful, but be just as passionate about that project as if it was mine. Then we've released Aquila, which again exceeded all expectations in regards to that campaign. We've got the final day today in regards to fixing up your pledges and all that type of stuff. But the funds should come through early next week for that. And moving forward with printing and production on that one. And now we've got a brand new series with Knight, and being able to work with, again, another actor that is so passionate about a project, which, Stephen, working with Dan and everything as well, that it makes it so much easier when those people are also invested in the project. So I'm super excited what we can do with this one as well.
Oh, definitely. Look, there's two things I do want to share with you. And it's probably one of the first sneak peeks I'm going to give of Terra Olympus, because that one's coming up in 2023 as well. So I'm going to see if I can share it. So where is it? Present. It's been a while since I've done this for so long. I don't know. I want to show a couple of things. So I'll share this one first. So is it up, or if you can pop it up? So the reason I want to share this first, this is page 2 of Terra Olympus. So the one thing you probably do notice, and this is actually a sign of a really good artist. So it's an artist called Eagle, and we'll spill a lot more of the stuff as it comes closer to the day. But if you first look at this, you'll probably think, oh gosh, this is really not that exciting. And there's so much empty space. It actually looks very empty. So if you just look at this page as it is, you'll be thinking it's a very empty page, which in fairness it is. But the reason why it's done in a certain way is, and I'll show you when it's completed. If you can bring that up, because when it's done, and the words are in, it's not that bad anymore. It's actually it's a really good artist who actually reads the script and actually understands, hey, look, I need to give a lot of space so that we can explain, what's happening.
Yeah.
And I'll run through this page because I love this page. This is also, in terms of comic things, this is a page turn, because the one good thing about not all pages in comics are created equally. So again, depending on how your book's set out, every odd page, the last panel of every odd page has a greater weight than any other panel going through. The reason why every odd page is the odd page is the page where imagine if you open a book up, it's page 1. What you're trying to get the reader to do, and especially in the last panel, is to flip that page. And that's why the final panel of every odd page is important. Every even page isn't as important because guess what? They've already flipped the page. So you're looking at 2 pages now. So they'll read through it. And I'll give you, in terms of writing, a standard script of what happens here. So again, this is provided with 0 context. So you don't need to know the story. You don't need to know anything. But you can kind of see here, finally we can get started, And then you can see what you meant to do is you're meant to build the tension up. So, it says apologies. Let's just get on with this. So you didn't know that this character is a bit annoyed. Patience is a virtue. And then you can kind of see here, because it jumps to the next panel, that him saying patience is a virtue is actually a dig. Again, a lot of things you can figure out in context. He's actually insulting him by saying, you know what? You're an idiot. Just wait. And that's where he comes in, saying, if you have something to say, and then it escalates up, it says, you smug, arrogant. And then this side is going to dispense with civilities, this is all your fault. And again, this is the first page turn. So nothing's provided with context. And then it goes, then it escalates up higher where this guy trying to de-escalate the situation actually makes it worse, like he's yelling. And this is the page turn. We have to discuss the end of the world. With no context given, I'm hope that you can kind of see the build up on the page coming down to this final panel where it tempts you to flip the page to find out exactly what it's talking about. And I don't know, I love this page. I've used this page so much as an example of how to build up tension, de-escalate, re-escalate, and then get it down to the page turn where you hopefully will flip the page.
And end of the world. The one thing that I also noticed on that was the lighting is unbelievable on that artwork. Like the entrance as they're walking in, he's actually got the light from the entrance of the room as they're walking in, and then even the subtle shadows and everything. Because I think the one thing that I always find hard when I'm trying to read comics, especially black and white comics, is getting a feel type of that from it being black and white. And the shading on this is just phenomenal. So super excited about this. It's kind of funny in regards to a lot of our projects, because we kind of see a lot of this stuff 6-12 months in advance to kind of everyone else. So
I've got another page to share with you if you want to pop that up.
Okay.
Just because you mentioned lighting, this is your own fault.
Yes.
Lighting. So this is the page that comes just before the page turn. So you can kind of see it's exactly correct. And you picked it. So it's them walking to the room with the light behind them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think it's missed in black and white. Because if you do black and white, and by the way, all props to Wilson Go, who actually did the coloring for Occupation Rainfall. Guys, sign up if you haven't signed up already. But when you do good black and white, you actually almost have to get a colorist in as well, because and that's something both me and Shaun have learned, is that just because it's black and white, you still got to get the lighting sources right. You still got to get all these things right. It's not a case of it's just leave it as inked, because if you leave it as inked, it doesn't feel complete, and it just doesn't. It's not quite right, and that's why with Terra Olympus 4, every page is grayscale colored, so you do have all the lighting sources. You do have, as he walks into the room, you saw the scene before it, and then you see the scene after it as the light floods in.
And it sets the mood as well. Like you don't understand, I guess, until you've been doing this a while, sometimes that, it's about setting the mood, and how do you set the mood? And that's not only by the words that you're using, but by shadows, by light, by different colors if it's colored. That's how you're going to kind of set the mood type thing. So I'm super excited about that. What else do you have coming up, Stephen? I know that so you got Terra Olympus Volume 4. What are you up to in Wordsmith, Transhuman?
So Wordsmith, probably next year. Look, right now I'm I'm going to post an update. So we released the digital versions out, I think about 2 to 3 weeks back. I've got to the proofs already. We've started the shipping process really slowly. I'll be honest. I like my usual thing is I don't really start the next the Wordsmith 5 until I've shipped out Wordsmith 4 in its entirety. I don't think that's right. I'm trying to get the pre-launch page. The one thing I don't. Oh, one step back as well. Kickstarter actually right now. Previously, you could only have one pre-launch page with every account. So if you have, they won't let you put another pre-launch without live. But I think with Kickstarter now, if you're a proven account and you have to write in for it, they can actually let you do multiple pre-launches. They've actually changed one of the rules. It's not an official change, but you can write in now. And I was going to tell you about this as you just reminded me. So the one thing I was planning to do is actually get up a lot of pre-launches, mainly because it builds it. Look, we don't have a previews that shows you every 3 months what happens. So this is our way to say, hey, look, this is our previews. In 3 months' time or 6 months' time, this is coming out, and we can plan it for the year. Just sign up for it, and you'll find out when it happens. So, I got a lot. I've started the pre-launch for Terra Olympus 4. It's not in a place where I can get it approved yet, but as soon as it does, I'll definitely share the link out for it.
Yeah, it's crazy because I just started, so I've got the pre-launch page up for Night and occupation. But I've just started to do the pre-launch page for issue 4 of the 13th Labor. I just got the final 2 pages off Brad this week for issue 2 of Talos of Sparta, so super excited about that. But then I still need to do the pre-launch page for XCT Most Wanted, which we've gone back and recolored, and then Fractured Shards Volume 3 as well. So if I can have a couple of pre-launch pages live at the same time, that would be much easier than having to kind of wait to get the next one approved. So that's kind of cool. I didn't know that, so super excited about that.
Yeah. I'll find a couple more details. I don't believe it's an official policy yet. So again, please don't quote me. Usual stuff. This is stuff I've heard. But as soon as I get more details, I'll definitely share it with you. But I do believe it has to be a proven account. Like you have to have, what I was told, you need to have at least 5 completed Kickstarters that are all totally fulfilled before.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not just one campaign.
You need I think you need 5. Again, the numbers may change, and I know they're trialing it. So as soon as I get more, I'll definitely share it with you guys.
Perfect. Awesome.
Saying that though, we're at the hour, but we should say goodbye to the chat.
Yeah, Rob popped in a little bit. I popped up his chat before.
Hey, Rob.
Rob, so it was really nice to see you. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming back. We're hoping to get on a little bit more of a regular schedule. We might be doing a little a couple of pre-recorded shows as well, just in case things come up that we're able to kind of still do the shows each Sunday night. So, and we're also maybe got a little bit of access to some other people that we can kind of get onto the show, which is probably a little bit better timing for them. So if we're able to get them on the show at a different time, we will pre-record that and then pop it up. So we're super excited about that. But you know, Grace, you have a good week too. I'm hoping everyone has a great week. Well, I'd love to know what you're drawing, Jackie. Let us know what you're drawing. So, because
we could bring him up for a draw stream. So, Jackie, you don't need to say anything. Just point the camera down, and all we do is we watch you draw as we talk. I could just happily watch people draw. We'll talk. And
I'm always love those streams where people are drawing and everything, because I'm shocking. I can barely draw stick figures, so it's kind of cool to have someone on that's able to do that at the same time as we're talking. So if you've got that set up, Jackie,
it's
you know,
not that hard. Just bring a phone camera, point it straight down. You don't have to show your face on camera if you don't want to, but just point it straight down and just. The other funny thing is, and I know it's a quick aside before we close off, but work in progress videos, people love. Like our most popular videos are just me doing lettering for 30 seconds. And it's crazy.
100%.
Absolutely crazy.
It's hilarious. The process videos, you know, of you lettering, the quick starter videos that only go for 5 to 7 minutes. And the trailers, like your minute and 30-second trailers that you do for your Kickstarters, they seem to be the most popular things. I think an hour, like I enjoy and I love doing this show, and you know, really excited to get some more guests on the show, but it is a large investment for people to kind of do the show. So in saying that, thank you very much for your time. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notify bell. We go live Sunday at 10 p.m. each Sunday night, and we look forward to seeing you guys all again next week.